Dr. Velthar adjusted his viewing device and looked at the data screen one more time. The numbers were clear. The results were the same as always. Humans were weak. He had spent 15 years studying the newest members of the Galactic Federation. His team had watched thousands of humans in different situations. They recorded everything. Every reaction, every sound, every movement. The results always showed the same thing. Humans complained about everything. When the temperature dropped just 3 degrees, humans would shiver and say they were cold. When they got a small cut on their finger, they would cry out in pain. Other species would not even notice such tiny problems. But humans acted like these small things were terrible disasters. Dr. Velthar was an Altarian. His people came from a world with thick atmosphere and strong gravity. Altarians could work for days without rest. They could handle extreme heat and cold without any problems. Pain was something they felt, but never showed. The Vorthan researchers agreed with Dr. Velthar. Dr. Kashina had studied human emotional responses for 8 years. She watched humans cry when they were sad. She saw them laugh too loudly when they were happy. She recorded them getting angry over small disagreements. Humans have no control over their feelings, Dr. Kashina told her students. They react to everything. They cannot hide their emotions. This makes them unsuitable for important work. The Zephyrian scientists had their own data. Commander Throlix had tested humans in various physical challenges. He made them lift heavy objects. He had them run long distances. He put them in hot rooms and cold rooms. The results were always disappointing. Humans would start sweating quickly in hot conditions. They would begin shaking in cold environments. When lifting heavy things, they would grunt and make noise. When running, they would breathe hard and complain about being tired. Other species performed these same tasks in silence, Commander Throlix wrote in his report. Humans make unnecessary sounds. They waste energy on vocal expressions. They draw attention to their discomfort instead of simply continuing their work. The Galactic Institute of Xenobiology published Dr. Velthar's research paper. The title was simple: Human Behavioral Patterns. Why Humans Are Not Suited for Difficult Work. The paper was 847 pages long. It had charts and graphs and detailed observations. Every major university in the galaxy read the paper. Every government official studied the findings. The conclusion was clear and agreed upon by everyone. Humans were emotionally unstable and physically weak. The Federation Council met to discuss what jobs humans should be allowed to do. General Morkith of the Altarian Defense Force spoke first. We cannot have humans in our military units, he said. They would complain about long marches, would cry out when injured. This would hurt the morale of other soldiers. Engineer Prime Velkos from the Zephyrian Engineering Corps agreed. Human workers would slow down our construction projects. They need too many breaks. They require comfortable working conditions. They cannot handle the demands of real engineering work. Dr. Yulinara from the Medical Research Division added her opinion. Humans get sick too easily. They feel pain too strongly. They would not be able to work in our laboratories where we test new medicines and treatments. The council reached their decision quickly. Humans would be given safe, easy jobs. They could work in offices. They could organize files and enter data into computers. They could serve food in cafeterias. These jobs would not be too difficult for their weak bodies and unstable emotions. On the human colony ship called New Soul, Commander Li Juan read the job assignment message with growing anger. She was a trained pilot with 20 years of experience. She had flown through asteroid fields and navigated dangerous space storms. But according to the Federation, she was only qualified to work in an office. Her crew felt the same frustration. Engineer Park Min-ho had designed engines for the fastest ships in human space. Now, he was assigned to filing paperwork.
Dr. Kim.
Soyang had performed surgery in emergency conditions during space battles. Her new job was organizing medical supply catalogs. They think we are children, said Lieutenant Nam Jie. She had been a tactical officer on 3 different starships. Her new assignment was serving meals in the Federation cafeteria. Commander Giwan called a meeting with her senior staff. gathered in the ship's conference room. The walls were covered with awards and certificates from their previous missions. Photos showed them working together during difficult times. "The Federation thinks we are too weak for real work, Commander," Juan said. "They have decided we can only do simple tasks that will not challenge us." Chief Medical Officer Choi Hannah shook her head. "I have seen our people work through illness and injury. I've watched them continue their duties when other species would have stopped." "The alien scientists do not understand us," said Chief Engineer Kung Su. "They see us react to pain and think we cannot handle it. They hear us complain about discomfort and assume we will quit." Commander Giwan looked around the table at her team. These were good people, strong people. They had survived the long journey from Earth to join the galactic community. They had learned new languages and customs. They had proven themselves capable many times, but none of that mattered to the Federation scientists. "The research papers said humans were weak. The data showed humans complained too much. The official decision was made." Dr. Velthar was preparing his next research project when he received a message from the Federation Council. They wanted him to study another aspect of human behavior. This time, they wanted to know why humans formed such strong emotional bonds with each other. He accepted the assignment eagerly. More research meant more evidence of human weakness. Perhaps he could prove that humans were not just physically and emotionally unsuitable for difficult work, but also socially unstable. The galaxy had made up its mind about humans. They were a comfort-dependent species. They needed easy jobs and safe environments. They could not be trusted with important responsibilities. This scientific consensus would remain unchanged for many months, till circumstances forced everyone to reconsider what they thought they knew about human nature. But for now, the decision was final. Humans would be given simple jobs and kept away from any work that might be too challenging for their weak bodies and unstable emotions. The academic community was satisfied with their conclusions. The government officials were comfortable with their policies. The military leaders were confident in their exclusion of humans from important positions. Everyone agreed that humans were simply not built for anything difficult or dangerous. They would soon learn how wrong they were. Dr. Crenshaw was different from the other researchers at the Galactic Institute. She was young for a Vorthan, only 43 years old. Most of her colleagues had been studying alien species for over a century. They had made up their minds about humans long ago, but Dr. Crenshaw liked to watch the security recordings from human settlements. While other scientists focused on controlled experiments, she preferred to observe humans in their natural daily activities. She thought this might show her things that laboratory tests could not reveal. Her supervisor, Dr. Yelmoth, did not approve of this method. "The controlled studies have already given us all the data we need," he told her. "Humans are emotionally unstable and physically weak. There is nothing more to learn." Dr. Crenshaw nodded politely, but continued her observations anyway. She had access to thousands of hours of security footage from human colonies, space stations, and work sites. Most researchers ignored this material because it was not considered scientific enough. She began her review with Settlement Colony 7, mining outpost on the edge of human space. The colony had 2,847 human residents who worked in difficult conditions. The planet had thin air, extreme temperature changes, and dangerous mining operations. According to the accepted research, humans should struggle terribly in such an environment. They should complain constantly and require frequent breaks. They should need special accommodations and comfortable working conditions. Dr. Crenshaw expected to see evidence of human weakness everywhere. Instead, she found something completely different. She watched maintenance worker Kim Min-ho start a shift at 0600 hours. His job was to repair the atmospheric processors that kept the colony breathing. These machines were located in the deepest parts of the mine where the air was thin and the heat was intense. On the third day of her observations, Dr. Crenshaw noticed that Min-ho looked sick. His skin was pale and covered with sweat. He moved more slowly than usual. The medical scanner in his work suit showed elevated body temperature and irregular heart rate. Any reasonable person would report to the medical center immediately. The colony rules stated that workers must stop working if they showed signs of illness. Safety protocols demanded it. But Minho did not stop working. For 12 hours, he crawled through narrow maintenance tunnels. He repaired broken circuits and replaced damaged components. His breathing was labored and his hands shook. But he completed every task on his schedule. When his shift ended, Minho filed his report and went home. He did not mention feeling sick, did not ask for medical attention, simply did his job and left. Dr. Crenshaw checked his medical records later. Minho had suffered from severe food poisoning caused by contaminated water supplies. The illness should have left him unable to work for at least 3 days. But he had worked through the entire episode without missing a single shift. This was not what the research papers said humans would do. Dr. Crenshaw found more examples in her recordings. Engineer Park Soo-min was responsible for maintaining the power grid that supplied electricity to the entire colony. When a solar storm damaged the main generators, Soo-min worked for 72 hours straight to fix the problem. The recordings showed Soo-min drinking coffee to stay awake. Her eyes were bloodshot from exhaustion. Her hands trembled as she worked. On delicate circuits, several times, she nearly fell asleep while standing up. But she did not stop working until the power was restored. When asked about her condition by other workers, Soo-min gave simple answers. "The colony needs power," she would say. "People are depending on these systems," and she never complained about being tired or asked for help. Dr. Crenshaw discovered similar behavior patterns throughout the colony. Dr. Yoon Ji-ae performed surgery. During a medical emergency, even though she had broken her wrist in an accident earlier that day, farmer Lee Dong-yoon harvested crops for an entire week while suffering from severe back pain that left him walking with a limp. Construction foreman Nam Seok-jin continued building new housing units during a heat wave that forced other species to stay indoors as the temperature reached levels that were dangerous for most life forms. But Seok-jin and his crew worked their regular shifts without complaint. These humans did not behave according to the accepted scientific theories. They did not stop working when they felt discomfort. They did not demand special treatment when conditions became difficult. They simply continued doing their jobs. Dr. Crenshaw began documenting these cases carefully. She prepared detailed reports with timestamps and medical data. She cross-referenced the security footage with environmental conditions and work schedules. When she presented her findings to the research committee, every species has a few individuals who behave differently from the norm. These cases do not represent typical human behavior. Dr. Yelmoth agreed. The controlled studies involve thousands of human subjects. Your observations show only a few dozen individuals. The sample size is too small to draw any meaningful conclusions. Professor Kalanth from the psychology department added her opinion. These humans may have been motivated by fear of losing their jobs. They might have been hiding their true feelings. To avoid punishment, their behavior is not natural, but forced. Dr. Crenshaw tried to argue her point. But the medical data shows these individuals were genuinely suffering. They were not pretending to be strong. They were actually enduring conditions that should have incapacitated them. The committee was not interested in her arguments. Official consensus remained unchanged. Humans were weak and emotionally unstable. The few examples Dr. Crenshaw had found were exceptions that proved the rule. Dr. Crenshaw returned to her office, feeling frustrated but not defeated. She knew what she had seen in those recordings. The humans in Colony 7 were not pretending to be strong. They were not motivated by fear. They were simply doing what needed to be done regardless of their personal discomfort. She decided to expand her research. If Colony 7 had humans who behaved differently from the accepted theories, perhaps other settlements would show similar patterns. Dr. Crenshaw requested access to security recordings from 12 other human colonies. She began watching footage from mining operations, research stations, and agricultural settlements. She looked for examples of humans working through difficult conditions. What she found would eventually change everything the galaxy thought it knew about human nature. But, for now, her discoveries remained ignored by the scientific community. The established researchers continued to believe their own theories. They had no interest in evidence that contradicted their published conclusions. Dr. Crenshaw worked alone, collecting data that no one else wanted to see. She documented cases of human endurance that no one else would acknowledge. She did not know that her patient observations would soon become very important to the survival of many people throughout the galaxy. The Kepler mining station floated in the darkness between two stars. It was one of the largest mining operations in the galaxy, run by a partnership of 4 different alien species. The station housed 15,000 workers who extracted rare metals from nearby asteroid fields. Station commander Yoltek was a Zephyrian with 30 years of experience managing deep space operations. He had handled equipment failures, worker strikes, and supply shortages, but he had never faced anything like the crisis that began on day 847 of the current mining cycle. The trouble started when Solar Observatory Station detected unusual activity from the nearby red giant star. Dr. Mekthis, station's chief scientist, rushed to Commander Yoltek's office with the alarming news. "Sir, we have a problem," Dr. Mekthis said, his translator device struggling with his rapid speech. "The star is producing massive solar flares. The radiation levels are increasing rapidly." Commander Yoltek studied the data on his screen. The numbers were frightening. Solar radiation was bombarding the station at levels that could damage critical systems. "How long until the flares reach dangerous levels?" he asked. "They already have," Dr. Mekthis replied. "The first wave hit our outer shields 20 minutes ago. The primary life support systems are beginning to fail." Commander Yoltek activated the station-wide emergency alert. Throughout Kepler Station, warning lights flashed and alarm sounds echoed through the corridors. Workers stopped their activities and listened for instructions. "Attention all personnel," Commander Yoltek announced over the communication system. "We are experiencing solar flare damage to critical systems. All non-essential operations are suspended immediately. Department heads report to the command center." Within minutes, the department heads gathered in the main conference room. Chief Engineer Corinth reported that the primary atmospheric processors were offline. Medical Director Valsera announced that the radiation shielding was operating at only 60% capacity. The worst news came from Maintenance Chief Throkel. "The damage is concentrated in the outer maintenance tunnels," he explained. "The solar radiation fried the main control circuits. Someone needs to go into those tunnels and manually repair the systems." Commander Yoltek felt his stomach tighten. The outer maintenance tunnels were the most dangerous part of the station, even under normal conditions. They were located on the exterior hull where workers had to deal with the vacuum of space and extreme temperature changes. "What are the current conditions in the tunnels?" he asked. Chief Throkel consulted his datapad. "Temperature variations between minus 150 degrees and plus 200 degrees as the station rotates through shadow and sunlight. Radiation levels are 4 times the safe exposure limit. The work would require constant movement between these extreme conditions for at least 18 hours. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The repair work was impossible. For any known species to survive, Altarians were tough and could handle physical stress. But the radiation would kill them within hours. Vorthons were intelligent and skilled with technology, but their bodies could not survive the temperature extremes. Zephyrians were adapted for space work, but even they had limits. "How long do we have before complete system failure, Commander?" Yoltek asked. 48 hours at most," replied Chief Engineer Corinth. "After that, life support will collapse completely. We will have to evacuate the entire station." Commander Yoltek considered their options. Evacuation would mean abandoning billions of credits worth of equipment and materials. It would also mean admitting failure to the Federation Council. But the alternative seemed to be certain death for whoever attempted the repairs. "What about automated repair systems?" he asked. "The solar radiation damaged those systems too," Chief Throkel replied. "The repair robots cannot function in the current conditions. This work requires manual intervention by a living person." Dr. Mekthis suggested they contact nearby Federation ships for assistance. It was 6 days away. They did not have enough time to wait for help. Commander Yoltek was preparing to order station evacuation when his communications officer interrupted the meeting. "Sir, the human administrative staff is requesting permission to speak with you." The officer announced. Commander Yoltek was confused. Humans worked in the station's office areas handling paperwork and data entry. Why would they want to speak with him during this crisis? Send him in, he decided. 2 humans entered the conference room. Maintenance supervisor Choi Hannah was a woman in her 40s with calloused hands and practical work clothes. Engineer Oh Kyung-soo was younger, with the quick eyes of someone who understood complicated machinery. Commander, we heard about the problem with the outer tunnels, Choi Hannah said. We would like to volunteer for the repair mission. The room erupted in surprised voices. Several department heads began speaking at once, explaining why this was impossible. Commander Yoltek raised his hand for silence. I appreciate your offer, he said carefully, but you do not understand the conditions involved. The temperature changes alone would kill most species within minutes. The radiation exposure exceeds all safety protocols. Choi Hannah nodded calmly. We understand the risks, Commander. We have reviewed the technical specifications and environmental data. We believe we can complete the repairs. Chief Throkel stood up angrily. This is ridiculous. Humans are known to be physically weak and emotionally unstable. They complain about minor discomfort. How could they possibly survive conditions that would kill trained Zephyrian technicians? Kyung-soo spoke. For the first time, with respect, sir, the research about human limitations may not tell the complete story. Some humans have different capabilities than others. Dr. Mechthis consulted his data pad. According to Federation scientific studies, humans cannot tolerate temperature variations greater than 20 degrees. The tunnels have variations of over 300 degrees. The studies may be incomplete, Choi Hannah replied simply. We would like the chance to try. Commander Yoltek looked around the room at his department heads. Their faces showed doubt and concern. According to everything they knew about humans, this plan was suicide, but they were running out of time and options. What equipment would you need? Commander Yoltek asked. Choi Hannah smiled. Standard repair tools, extra water supplies, and radiation monitoring devices. We can handle the rest. The decision felt like madness. But with 47 hours until complete system failure, Commander Yol_Tech realized they had no choice. Very well, he said, prepare for the mission. But I want constant communication and immediate evacuation if conditions become too dangerous. Understood, Commander, Choi Hannah replied. We will not let you down. As the humans left to prepare, the alien department heads exchanged worried glances. They were about to discover whether the Federation's scientific understanding of human limitations was correct. The answer would surprise everyone. Choi Hannah checked her equipment one last time before entering the outer maintenance tunnels. Her radiation detector beeped steadily, showing levels that would be dangerous for most species. Her temperature gauge displayed readings that changed rapidly as the station rotated through space. Oh. Kyung-soo sealed the airlock behind them and activated his communication device. Command Center, this is Repair Team 1. We are entering the tunnel system now. Commander Yoltek's voice crackled through the speakers. Understood, Repair Team. Your current radiation exposure is already at warning levels. How do you feel? You feel fine, Commander, Choi Hannah replied. Beginning diagnostic check of damaged systems. In the command center? The alien department heads watched the human life signs on their monitoring screens. Dr. Mechthis studied the data with growing concern. Their heart rates are elevated, he reported. Body temperature is rising. Stress. Hormones are increasing. They should be experiencing severe discomfort already. Chief Engineer Corinth nodded grimly. The humans will probably collapse within the first hour. We should prepare rescue teams. But the humans did not collapse. For the first 3 hours, Choi, Hannah, and Oh Kyung-soo worked steadily through the tunnel system. They replaced damaged circuits, repaired broken connections, and restored power to critical systems. Their voices over the communication system remained calm and focused. Atmospheric processor number 7 is back online, Oh Kyung-soo reported. Moving to Section 12 to check the backup generators. Copy that, replied Choi Hannah. I have finished the repairs in Section 9. The radiation shielding is functioning normally again. The monitoring screens showed that their bodies were under tremendous stress. Their breathing was rapid and shallow. Sweat poured from their skin as they moved between extreme hot and cold areas. Radiation exposure continued to climb toward dangerous levels, yet they continued working, Chief. Medical Officer Valsera had never seen anything like it. According to our medical knowledge, these humans should have lost consciousness by now. The temperature stress alone should have shut down their nervous systems. Commander Yoltek watched the repair progress on his status board. Critical systems were coming back online one by one. The humans were actually succeeding where trained alien technicians would have failed. How is this possible? He asked Dr. Mekathis. I do not know, the scientist replied honestly. Everything we understand about human physiology says this should be impossible. Hour 6 brought the first sign of real trouble. Okyungsu's voice came over the communication system with a slight tremor.
Oh, yeah.
Command Center, I am experiencing some dizziness. Radiation levels in this section are higher than expected. The department. Heads leaned forward expectantly. Finally, the humans were showing signs of the weakness that science predicted. Return to the safe zone immediately, ordered Commander Yoltek. We can continue repairs when radiation levels decrease. Negative, Commander, O Kung-Su replied. The damage in this section is critical to life support. I can complete the repairs in another hour. Your safety is more important than the repairs, Commander Yoltek insisted. Choi Hanna's voice joined the conversation. Commander, with respect, we knew the risks when we volunteered. The station needs these systems operational. We will continue working. For the next 2 hours, the aliens watched in amazement as the humans pushed through conditions that should have killed them. Kung-Su worked despite radiation sickness that made his hands shake. Choi Hanna continued her repairs while fighting heat exhaustion that left her dizzy and weak. Neither of them complained. Neither of them asked to stop. Hour 12 marked a turning point. The most critical repairs were complete. Life support systems were stabilizing. Immediate danger to the station was passing, but the humans were not finished. Command Center. We are beginning work on the secondary backup systems, Choi Hanna reported. These repairs will ensure full operational capacity. Dr. Mekthis stared at his monitors in disbelief. They have already accomplished the impossible. Why are they continuing to work? The answer came from Oh Kyung-Soo over the communication system. These backup systems failed during the solar flare. If we do not repair them now, the next emergency could be much worse. Hour 15 brought news that made the command staff speechless. Chief Engineer Corinth received a report that made him check his instruments twice. Commander, he announced, the humans have not only repaired the damaged systems, they have improved them. The efficiency ratings are higher than before the solar flare. Hour 18 finally ended the impossible mission. Choi Hanna and Oh Kyung-Soo emerged from the maintenance tunnels looking exhausted but victorious. Their faces were pale from radiation exposure. Their clothes were soaked with sweat. Their movements were slow and careful, but they were alive and functional. Commander Yoltek met them at the airlock with his entire senior staff. The aliens stared at the humans with expressions of wonder and confusion. How do you feel? Dr. Mekthis asked, his scientific training overcoming his amazement. Tired, Choi Hanna replied simply. We would like to shower and get some rest. But the conditions, Chief Throkel stammered. The temperature extremes. The radiation. Should be in the medical center fighting for your lives, Kung-Soo shrugged. It was unpleasant work, but someone had to do it. The station was depending on us. Unpleasant, repeated Commander Yoltek slowly. You call nearly impossible conditions simply unpleasant. My grandfather worked in the steel mills back on Earth, Choi Hanna explained. He used to say that hard work never killed anyone who was willing to do it. Sometimes you just have to push. Through the difficult parts, aliens exchanged bewildered glances. According to their scientific understanding, what these humans had accomplished was impossible, yet the evidence was undeniable. Dr. Mekthis began to realize that their research might have missed something important about human nature. You felt pain and discomfort during the repairs. Why did you not stop working? Feeling bad and giving up are two different things, Oh Kung-Soo replied. Just because something hurts does not mean you cannot do it. News of the Kepler station incident spread quickly through Federation space. Dr. Velthor himself traveled to the station to interview the human engineers, expected to find them hospitalized or traumatized by their ordeal. Instead, he found them back at work the next day. Choi Hannah was reviewing system diagnostics with her maintenance team. Okungsu was training other engineers on the improvements they had made to the backup systems. Both humans showed signs of fatigue and minor radiation exposure, but they appeared alert and ready to continue their duties. "This is impossible," Dr. Velthar muttered to himself as he watched them work. His entire understanding of human capabilities was crumbling. The scientific consensus that had guided Federation policy for years was clearly wrong. The humans had not just survived impossible conditions, they had thrived in them. Dr. Velthar realized he needed to completely reconsider everything he thought he knew about the newest members of the Galactic community. Dr. Velthor sat in his laboratory staring at the data from Kepler Station. The numbers made no sense according to everything he had published about human limitations. He had built his entire career on the theory that humans were physically weak and emotionally unstable. Now that theory lay in ruins. He called Dr. Crenshaw to his office. The young Vorthan researcher had been quietly collecting examples of unusual human behavior for months. Her work had been dismissed by the scientific community, but recent events made her observations suddenly very important. "Show me your research," Dr. Velthor said without greeting. "All of it." Dr. Crenshaw activated her presentation device. Images and data filled the wall screens. "I've documented 847 cases of humans working through conditions that should have incapacitated them. The pattern appears across all human settlements. The first case file showed colonist Yoon Jie on settlement Gamma 12. Dr. Crenshaw had recorded her giving birth during a transport ship emergency. The ship's engines had failed during a meteor shower, leaving the vessel drifting without power or proper life support. Medical scanners show she was in active labor for 14 hours, Dr. Crenshaw explained. But she also helped coordinate the evacuation of 200 passengers. She continued working between contractions until everyone was safely transferred to rescue ships. Dr. Velthor studied the medical data. Any other species would have been completely focused on the birthing process. Pain and physical stress would have made additional tasks impossible. "What happened after the baby was born?" he asked. "She returned to duty 3 days later," Dr. Crenshaw replied. "Ship records show she worked double shifts for the next week to help repair the damaged engines." The next case involved farmer Nam Seo-jin on agricultural colony 5. His settlement faced a crop failure that would have meant starvation for 3,000 colonists. The harvest had to be completed before the planet's harsh winter season arrived. "Broke his arm on the second day of harvest," Dr. Crenshaw continued. "Medical records confirm a complete fracture of both bones in his left forearm, and treatment required immediate surgery and 6 weeks of recovery time." "But he did not stop working," Dr. Velthor said, beginning to understand the pattern. "Correct. Worked for 3 more days with the broken arm before seeking medical treatment. He harvested enough grain to feed the colony through winter. Only after the crops were safely stored did he report to the medical center." Examined the surveillance footage. Seok-jin moved carefully to protect his injured arm, but he never stopped working. His face showed pain, but his actions showed determination. Case after case revealed the same pattern. Humans experiencing severe discomfort, but continuing to function. Humans facing impossible odds, but refusing to give up. Humans enduring conditions that would stop other species completely. Dr. Crenshaw showed him the records of engineer Bae Soyang from Research Station Alpha 7, when a reactor malfunction threatened to destroy the station. Soyang worked in radiation levels that should have killed her within hours. She repaired the containment system while suffering severe radiation poisoning, Dr. Crenshaw explained. Her body was shutting down, but she continued working until the reactor was stable. "How did she survive?" Dr. Velthor asked. "Medical. Staff kept her conscious with stimulants and pain medication. She directed the repairs while literally dying from radiation exposure. The work took 16 hours. Fact." Dr. Velthar felt his understanding of reality shifting. Everything the scientific community believed about humans was wrong. They were not weak. They were not unable to handle stress. They possessed capabilities that other species could barely imagine. Why did our previous research miss this? He asked. Dr. Crenshaw had been thinking about this question for months. I believe we misunderstood what human complaints and emotional expressions actually mean. We assumed that vocalization of discomfort indicated inability to continue functioning. Showed him comparison videos of different species under stress. Altarians remained silent when injured but stopped working immediately. Zephyrians showed no emotional expression but required perfect conditions to maintain performance. Vorthans demonstrated logical responses to problems but avoided situations that caused discomfort. Humans are different, Dr. Crenshaw explained. They express their feelings openly but do not let those feelings control their actions. They can experience pain and fear while still doing what needs to be done. Dr. Velthor began to see the truth. Human emotional expressions were not signs of weakness. They were coping mechanisms that actually helped humans endure difficult conditions. The complaints and reactions we recorded in our experiments, he said slowly, they were not evidence of inability. They were evidence of a different survival strategy. Exactly. Humans process stress by acknowledging it verbally, while continuing to function physically. Other species either hide their stress and fail, or express it and stop working. Humans found a third option. Dr. Crenshaw showed him psychological profiles of the humans from her case studies. They all shared certain characteristics. They focused on completing tasks rather than avoiding discomfort. They valued the needs of others above their own comfort. They viewed challenges as problems to solve rather than reasons to quit. There appears to be a cultural element as well, Dr. Crenshaw added. Many of these humans reference family members or cultural values that emphasize persistence and duty. Dr. Velthor thought about Nam Siakchen's grandmother and her saying about complaining not reducing pain. He considered Choi Hanna's grandfather and his philosophy about hard work. Carried forward traditions that prepared them for endurance? We need to publish these findings immediately, Dr. Velthor decided. The Federation Council must know that our understanding of human capabilities was completely incorrect. Dr. Crenshaw activated her communication device and began contacting other researchers. Within hours, the news was spreading through academic circles across the galaxy. The response was immediate and intense. Some scientists refused to believe the new data. Others demanded to review the evidence themselves. Many began re-examining their own research with fresh perspectives. Dr. Yelmoth, from the Vorthan Science Institute, called Dr. Velthor directly. Are you certain about these findings? This contradicts decades of established research. I am certain, Dr. Velthor replied. I have seen the evidence myself. Humans possess endurance capabilities that we never imagined. Within days, the Federation Council was reviewing the new research. Military commanders who had dismissed humans as unsuitable for service began reconsidering their policies. Engineering corporations that had refused to hire human workers started placing recruitment requests. The change in perception was dramatic and swift. Reports came in from across Federation space of humans performing tasks that other species found impossible. Mining operations reported that human supervisors worked longer shifts in more dangerous conditions than any other species. Deep space exploration teams found that human crew members remained functional during emergencies that incapacitated everyone. Else, emergency response units discovered that humans could work in disaster conditions for days without rest. Medical teams learned that human doctors and nurses continued treating patients even when they themselves were injured or ill. Dr. Velthor published his correction, paper titled Human Endurance: Understanding a Misunderstood Species. The paper acknowledged that his previous research had been fundamentally flawed. We observed human emotional responses without understanding their functional purpose, he wrote. We mistook communication for weakness and expression for inability. In our scientific arrogance, we failed to recognize one of the most remarkable survival adaptations in the known galaxy. The scientific community slowly accepted the new understanding. Humans were not weak or emotionally unstable. They were a species that had evolved unique methods for surviving in difficult conditions. The galaxy was beginning to realize that they had seriously underestimated the newest members of the Federation, and this was only the beginning of what humans could accomplish when given the chance to prove themselves. 6 months after the Kepler Station incident, Commander Li Juan stood on the bridge of the Federation starship Unity, watching the construction of Andromeda Station. The massive structure would be the first deep space research facility in the outer galaxy. Positioned at the edge of known space where conditions were harsh and unpredictable, her crew included members from 4 different species working together as equals. Gone were the days when humans were relegated to simple office work. The Federation had learned to value human capabilities in ways they never imagined possible. Chief Engineer Bei Soyoung monitored the construction progress from her station. Dr. Lim Dong-yoon supervised the installation of research equipment. Security Chief Nam Jie coordinated safety protocols with the alien construction teams. The project had faced challenges from the beginning. The location was chosen specifically because it offered access to unique stellar phenomena that could advance scientific understanding. But those same phenomena made the construction extremely dangerous. Solar winds in the region created constant radiation storms. Gravitational anomalies from nearby black holes caused structural stress on the station framework. Temperature variations ranged from the heat of a star's corona to the cold of deep space. 3 other construction attempts had failed when the work crews could not handle the extreme conditions. Altarian engineers had been forced to evacuate when radiation levels exceeded their safety limits. Zephyrian technicians had abandoned the project when gravitational stress made precise work impossible. The Federation Council had almost canceled the project entirely. Then Dr. Velthor suggested they try a mixed crew with human leadership. His recommendation was based on the new understanding of human endurance capabilities. Commander Juwan had accepted the assignment eagerly. After years of being considered too weak for important work, humans finally had the chance to lead a major Federation project. The first 3 months of construction proceeded smoothly. The mixed crew worked well together, with humans taking on the most difficult and dangerous tasks while alien specialists handled technical aspects that required their unique skills. Then disaster struck. It began as a routine day of installing the station's central computer core. The work required precise calibration in an area of the station where radiation levels were higher than normal. Engineer Bei Soyoung was leading a team of technicians through the delicate process. Without warning, a massive solar storm erupted from the nearby red giant star. Radiation levels spiked to 10 times normal intensity. The station's automated systems immediately triggered emergency protocols. "All personnel evacuate to shielded areas immediately," announced the computer voice. "Radiation exposure has reached critical levels." Most of the alien workers rushed to the protected zones of the station, but the central computer installation was at a critical phase. Stopping the work now would mean losing weeks of progress and possibly damaging expensive equipment. Bei Soyoung made a quick decision. Human crew members continue working. Everyone else evacuate now. Commander Guan watched from the bridge as radiation readings climbed beyond anything considered survivable. Her human crew members remained at their posts, while alien workers retreated to safety. Dr. Mektis, Zephyrian science officer, stared at his instruments in disbelief. The radiation levels are impossible to survive. The humans should be unconscious by now. But the humans were not unconscious. They continued their work with steady determination. Engineer Bei Soyoung coordinated the computer installation while her body fought against radiation sickness. Her hands shook as she connected delicate circuits, but her voice remained calm as she gave instructions to her team. Technician Park, increase power to Section 7. Specialist Kim, check the data transfer rates. We need to complete this phase before the next radiation wave hits. Dr. Lim Dong-yoon worked in the research laboratory, installing sensitive scientific equipment. The radiation was affecting his vision, making it difficult to read the instrument displays. But he continued, calibrating the systems that would make the station's scientific mission possible. "Commander," he reported over the communication system, "the quantum resonance detector is online. Beginning installation of the gravitational wave sensors." Security Chief Nam Jie supervised emergency protocols, while coordinating with alien crew members in the shielded areas. She moved between different sections of the station, ensuring that everyone was safe and that critical systems remained operational. The solar storm continued for 18 hours. Radiation levels remained dangerously high throughout the entire period. The alien crew members waited in protected areas while the humans kept the station functioning. When the storm finally ended, the aliens emerged from their shelters expecting to find the humans dead or dying. Instead, they found them completing the final stages of the computer installation. Bei Soyang looked pale and exhausted, but she was running system diagnostics on the newly installed equipment. Lim Dong-yoon had dark circles under his eyes from fatigue, but he was calibrating the last of the research instruments. Nam Juye showed signs of radiation exposure, but she was filing her security report. Commander Yoltek, who had come to oversee the project after his experience at Kepler, Station shook his head in amazement. How do they do it? How do humans function under conditions that would kill the rest of us? Dr. Crenshaw, now the Federation's leading expert on human psychology, had traveled to witness the construction project. She had been studying human endurance for over a year, but she still found their capabilities remarkable. They separate physical discomfort from mission completion, she explained to the gathered alien observers. Other species stop working when conditions become difficult. Humans work harder. The success at Andromeda Station became legendary throughout Federation space. News of human achievements spread from planet to planet. Stories of their endurance and determination inspired admiration and respect. Military recruitment offices began actively seeking human soldiers. Engineering companies competed to hire human workers. Exploration missions specifically requested human crew members for dangerous assignments. The change in attitude was complete and permanent. Humans went from being considered the weakest species in the Federation to being recognized as one of the strongest. Commander Li Guan stood in the completed Andromeda Station 6 months later, watching ships arrive from across the galaxy. Scientists, engineers, and explorers came to use the research facilities that her human crew had made possible. The station's first major discovery was announced by Dr. Lim Dong-yoon at a Federation science conference. His team had detected gravitational waves from the edge of the observable universe, providing new insights into the nature of reality itself. This discovery was only possible because of the unique location of Andromeda Station, he told the assembled scientists. A location that required human endurance to make habitable. Dr. Velthor published his final paper on human capabilities, titled The Paradox of Human Strength: How Expressing Weakness Enables Endurance. In it, he wrote about the fundamental misunderstanding that had shaped alien perceptions of humanity. We confused communication with inability, he concluded. We failed to understand that acknowledging pain and pushing through it are not contradictory behaviors, but complementary aspects of human survival adaptation. Humans do not endure by ignoring discomfort. They endure by accepting it and continuing. Anyway, the galaxy had learned that the species they once considered too weak for important work were actually among the strongest beings in the universe. Not because they felt no pain, but because they felt pain and refused to let it stop them. Humans had found their place in the galactic community not despite their reactions to discomfort, but because of their ability to power through it. Had proven that sometimes the ones who complain the most are also the ones who quit the least. The Federation would never again underestimate the quiet strength of the human spirit.